The Shepherd's Dawn, Humble Beginnings of King David. In Bethlehem. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first chapter of our epic journey through the life of King David, a man whose story transcends time, weaving together the threads of human frailty, divine destiny, and unyielding faith. Today we delve into The Shepherd's Dawn, Humble Beginnings of King David in Bethlehem. Picture this: a dusty village nestled in the Judean hills, where the air is thick with the scent of wild thyme and the distant bleating of sheep. It is here, around 1040 BCE, that our protagonist enters the world, not with the fanfare of trumpets or the opulence of palaces, but in the quiet humility of a shepherd's home. David, the youngest son of Jesse from the tribe of Judah, is born into a world on the cusp of transformation. A world that will mold him into one of history's most complex and revered figures. Let us first explore the sociological depths of David's birthplace. Bethlehem, meaning house of bread in Hebrew, was no grand metropolis like Jerusalem or Thebes. It was a modest agrarian settlement in the hill country of Judah, part of the ancient Israelite tribal confederation. Society here was deeply patriarchal and clan-based, where family lineages dictated social standing, inheritance, and even survival. Jesse, David's father, was a respected elder in the Ephrathite clan, a branch of the Judah tribe, which traced its roots back to the patriarch Jacob. In this tightly knit community, roles were rigidly defined: men as providers and warriors, women as nurturers of hearth and home. David, as the eighth and youngest son, occupied the lowest rung in this familial hierarchy, a position that sociologists might describe as one of marginality, often overlooked in favor of elder brothers who inherited land, status, and expectations. This birth order dynamic, common in ancient Near Eastern cultures, fostered a sense of invisibility, yet it also bred resilience. In a society where the firstborn received the double portion of inheritance, as per Deuteronomy 21:17, David's position as the runt of the litter meant he was relegated to the periphery, tending flocks, while his brothers trained for battle or managed the household. This sociological marginalization, however, was a crucible for character development, teaching him the value of self-reliance in a world where tribal alliances could mean life or death amid threats from neighboring Philistines, Moabites, and Amalekites. Psychologically, David's early years as a shepherd boy paint a portrait of profound introspection and inner strength forged in solitude. Imagine a young boy, perhaps no older than 10 or 12, alone on the windswept pastures, his only companions the sheep and the vast, starry skies. This isolation, far from the clamor of village life, would have nurtured a rich inner world, a psychological landscape where contemplation thrived. Modern psychology might liken this to the development of emotional intelligence through adversity. Facing dangers like lions and bears, as David later recounts in 1 Samuel 17:34-36, he honed instincts of courage and quick thinking. The act of protecting his flock wasn't mere duty, it was a psychological rite of passage, building a self-concept rooted in capability and fearlessness. Yet, beneath this bravado lay vulnerability. The youngest son's psyche, often dismissed by family, could harbor feelings of inadequacy, driving him to prove himself through extraordinary feats. His skill with the sling, a simple weapon of stone and leather, became a metaphor for his mental agility. Precise, unassuming, yet lethal when needed. And then there's his music. The harp he played, not just for leisure, but as a therapeutic outlet. In the quiet hills, strumming melodies that would later become the Psalms, David processed emotions of joy, fear, and wonder. Psychologically, This artistic expression served as a coping mechanism, transforming potential isolation-induced melancholy into creative sublimation. Much like how artists today channel solitude into profound works, spiritually, David's youth in Bethlehem was a divine apprenticeship, where the natural world became his cathedral and God his constant companion. In the biblical narrative, the hills of Judah weren't just terrain, they were sacred spaces echoing the covenant between Yahweh and his people. As a shepherd, David embodied the pastoral imagery so central to Israelite spirituality. Think of Abraham, Moses, and even God himself as the shepherd of Israel. Psalm 81. Tending flocks day and night, he witnessed the cycles of life and death, the provision of green pastures and still waters, echoing Psalm 23, which many attribute to his reflections here. This environment fostered a deep, personal faith, unmediated by temple rituals or priests. It was raw, experiential spirituality. Spiritually, his encounters with wild beasts weren't just physical battles, but allegorical struggles against chaos, mirroring the cosmic order Yahweh imposed on creation. The solitude amplified his sense of divine presence, perhaps in the rustle of leaves or the roar of a storm. He felt the whisper of the Almighty, cultivating a theology of dependence. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. This spiritual depth set him apart in a time when Israel's faith was waning under the Judges era, marked by cycles of apostasy and deliverance, as in the book of Judges. David's emerging piety, rooted in humility, prepared him for a kingship that would prioritize worship over worldly power. Culturally, David's world was a vibrant tapestry of ancient Semitic traditions, blending nomadic heritage with emerging settled life. The Israelites, descendants of semi-nomadic patriarchs, were transitioning from a loose tribal league to a centralized monarchy, influenced by surrounding empires like Egypt and Mesopotamia. In Bethlehem, daily life revolved around agriculture and herding, barley harvests, olive presses, and sheep shearing festivals that reinforced community bonds. Culturally, storytelling was paramount, elders recounting tales of exodus and conquests around campfires, instilling a collective identity of chosenness amid oppression. Music and poetry were cultural cornerstones. David's harp playing wasn't anomalous, but part of a tradition where bards preserved history through song. Sociologically intertwined with culture, gender roles and kinship systems emphasized loyalty to tribe over individual ambition. Yet David's story subverts this. His cultural upbringing as a shepherd instilled values of stewardship and vigilance, qualities that would later define his rule. The Philistine threats loomed large culturally, iron-wielding invaders from the coast, representing technological and military superiority, which heightened Israelite anxiety and calls for a king like other nations. 1 Samuel 8:5. In this context, David's youth symbolized the underdog spirit of Israel, small, overlooked, yet poised for greatness. As we reflect on these layers, sociological marginality shaping his social acumen, psychological solitude forging his resilience, spiritual communion deepening his faith, and cultural immersion grounding his identity, David emerges not as a mere historical figure, but as an archetype of human potential. Born in obscurity, he carried within him the seeds of a kingdom that would echo through millennia. But this is only the dawn. Shadows of anointing and giants await.